Within this area we had a tremendous amount of violence. It's an area that has had a lot of violence in its history. The whole issue of peace and reconciliation was very significant for us, and finding within Anabaptism a tradition that had explored that for several centuries in a way that my tradition hadn't, that was actually very, very affirming, very challenging.
I believe in a God whose care, whose heart is for poor, oppressed and suffering people, who wants to see the goodness of God's kingdom being made real for them in the here and now. I found in the Anabaptists a faith community that integrates belief in the scriptures and in God's good news with a sense that that good news does encompass shalom for the community, that does involve social justice, that does involve peace concerns.
One of the contributions that Anabaptist thinking makes to local Baptist congregations now is precisely to help them think about their part in Christ's mission, not the least towards the powerless, the vulnerable, and those who have no voice. There's a Baptist congregation in Kingston, South London, where they have for a number of years been deeply committed to the care of those who are addicted to drugs. They've set up their own care units. They run a 24-hour service at immense cost to themselves and, let it be said, to misunderstandings both in health authorities and in local communities, in the churches, etc. But they have stood by the vulnerable, and they have crusaded for resources to be made available for the care and support of those on the margins. And that seems to me to have arisen directly out of their understanding of what it is to be a Christian community.
I live in an inner city area where there's a lot of violence, there's a lot of abuse of homeless people who sleep in the streets just around the corner from where I live. And the temptation to that is to react violently. And I've actually found that by having an attitude of I want to create peace in this situation, I've had conversations with people and ministered to people that I wouldn't have done before I discovered Anabaptist ways of thinking.
In recent years, the emphasis within the peace movement and within our church, and for myself also, has been to move from a position purely of protesting against war, protesting against nuclear weapons, protesting against militarism, full stop, to trying to find ways of actively promoting peace and finding ways of reconciling people